In the last class, we saw the differences between transitive and intransitive verb. What is the main difference that we learned about? Transitive verb acts on a direct object, whereas intransitive verb has no such thing. It does not have a direct object to act on. Now what about the terms in Hindi? If you add the suffix sa, it means with. For example, sa sneh. Sneh is love. Sa sneh is with love. So what does sakarmak mean? That means it has a karma, or in other words, object. It has an object. Now adding a to a word will mean without. For example, Shanti, Ashanti. Shanti is peace, Ashanti is without peace. Similarly, Purna is complete and Apurna is incomplete. So what does the word akarmak means? Akarma. That means what? No object. Interesting, isn't it? So the concept is exactly the same. We went through many examples in English, right? So we are going to do the same in Hindi. Now let us see some examples of sakarmak kriya. But we start with some basic terms that you need to know. The first term that we see is verb. Verb is any action that you do, any work that you do. Give, take, read, write, laugh, etc. In English it is known as verb. In Hindi it is known as kriya. Now subject is any noun or pronoun that does the action, or in other words any name, place, animal, thing, any noun or pronoun that does the work is called the subject in English. In Hindi it is known as karta. And then we come to the object. Object is any noun or pronoun that receives the action on which the action is done. In English it is known as object, and in Hindi it is known as karma. Now you have to notice one very important thing. It is the difference in the structure of sentences in English and Hindi. Now look what is happening in English. Your subject is followed by your verb and the object is what comes at last. But what happens in Hindi? Your object follows the subject. Subject first, then the object, and your verb is what comes at last. Why is it important? It is because that is how we defined the sakarmak kriya. Those are the verbs which act on a direct object. If you have a direct object, then good news. What you are dealing with is a sakarmak kriya or a transitive verb. If there is no object, then what you have is intransitive or akarmak kriya. Now how will you know where the object is or what the object is? You will ask questions to the verb. What question will you ask? You will ask verb what or verb who. You will ask, suppose the question is Ram saw Kumar, then you will say saw who. And here you will ask verb gives what, reading what, eats what. If you have an answer, if there is an object, then it is transitive. Now what is the main difference between these two languages? Where will you find your object in English? After the verb. And here you will find before the verb. And the question you will ask in Hindi is what? Kya deti hai? Kya pad raha hai? Kya khati hai? And your answer will lie before your verb. Now shall we examine these sentences? Reading what? Reading a book. Kya pad raha hai? Pustak pad raha hai. Eats what? Eats a fruit. Kya khati hai? Phal khati hai. So now what do you notice about all of this? All of them have an object. Now these are transitive verbs. Now shall we move on to intransitive verbs? Now these are some examples of akarmak kriya. What do you see here? Here you see a verb, you see a subject, but there is no object, there is no karma. Here what do you see? Seema daudti hai, Seema runs, Ram hasta hai, Ram laughs. नदी उग्र रूप से बहती है. The river flows furiously. Remember, this is not an object. Your object is what? It is a noun or a pronoun, an animal, a thing, a name, something that you can touch, see, hear. That is an object. This is not an object. This is an adverb. As I said earlier, we have discussed it in the other video also. Please check that out. So this is an adverb. This cannot be an object. And Prakash गाता है, Prakash sings. Now read these 4 sentences carefully and tell me, is there any sentence to which I can add something, add an object and make it into a sakarmak kriya? Tell me, look at these. What about Prakash sings a song? There, Prakash sings a song. Sings what? A song. क्या गाता है? गीत गाता है. Now identify the verbs in these sentences and tell me whether they are akarmak or sakarmak. सीता खाना बना रही है. सीता is cooking food. So sakarmak, it has a karma. Radha डर गई. Radha is afraid. Do you see anything here? No. All you have is Radha, who is the subject. So it is akarmak. No karma there. Balak sota hai. Do you see anything here? No. All you have is the subject or the karta. Balak sota hai. Boy sleeps. So again akarmak. Rahul chai pita hai. Rahul kya pita hai? Rahul chai pita hai. Again it is sakarmak. Now look at these 2 sentences. What is different from what we saw till now? Let us find out. There you have the subject or the karta, and here your verb or your karma. Now what about the object? You have 2 objects. One is milk, other is the boy. You have a primary and a secondary object. 2 objects. That is what we mean by dvikarmak. Do is 2. So 2 karma, and in some cases we even call it the bahu karmak. Bahu means many, more than 2. So now mother gives milk to the boy. You have 2 objects. Is that a problem? No, not at all. As long as you can give an answer to the question gives what, we are fine. It is transitive. क्या पिलाती है? दूध पिलाती है. You just have an extra object here. No problem with that. Similarly, Ram writes a letter. Writes what? A letter. क्या लिखता है? पत्र लिखता है. So still transitive, but then what do you see here? You see 2 karma, 2 objects. Now that's all for today. Till I meet you next time, you take care. Assalamu alaikum.